Afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. I hope everyone's having a good Thursday afternoon. It is a little bit cooler out there today, but again, we should see some warmer weather head our way as we head into the upcoming weekend. Plenty of sunshine, though, but again, not a bad day out there. It's Thursday, and that means it's Drought Monitor Day. The latest Drought Monitor released this morning, and thought we would just take a few minutes and kind of go over what we saw on the Drought Monitor, the changes, and also, again, more than that, kind of go into how much more precipitation we need to see drought conditions potentially come to an end. Again, if you watched it all yesterday with Chief Meteorologist Ken Shimmick on the streaming studio, we talked about it. It's been a fairly wet spring season for us, or excuse me, wet winter season for us, which is good news. But how much more do we need to see those drought conditions potentially come to an end? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. You'll have to forgive me, I don't have my weather graphics available to me this afternoon. So we're going to pull up just kind of the internet browser here, and we're going to kind of go through what we see. So this is a look at the drought monitor last week. Again, this was just issued February 23rd, so Thursday of last week. And again, you can see almost the entire state under drought conditions. 99.97% of the state under drought conditions, save for just a little tiny sliver in Richardson County and far southeastern Nebraska. But again, we can see the worst conditions across northeastern Nebraska with those areas in dark red, the exceptional drought conditions. Also in parts of southwestern Nebraska, we still saw those conditions of exceptional drought, extreme drought covering much of southwestern Nebraska and the southern panhandle, and again, much of northeastern Nebraska and into north central parts of the state. Good news is we did see a reduction in drought this week. This is a look at the latest drought monitor. And again, we still have the exceptional drought in northeastern Nebraska, but we did see a reduction in that exceptional drought in the southwest, as well as some additional reduction in drought in parts of southeastern Nebraska. So again, now 99.74% of the state under drought conditions. So we did see a little bit of a jump there. The good news is here, again, if you look at the column here on the right-hand side, if you go just 3 months ago, the end of November, a little over 17% of the state was under exceptional drought. Again, that's the highest it goes, and we've knocked that down now to 6%, just a little over 6%. We've also seen our extreme drought go from near 60% to down near 40%, and our severe drought go from up around 85% down to about 77%. So we have seen some good improvements over the last 3 months. As far as just changes in the last week, again, these areas shaded in green here are where we saw one kind of step forward improvement. So again, across parts of northeastern Nebraska, up near Atkinson, O'Neill, up near Knox County, as well as Antelope County, into parts of southwestern Nebraska. Again, we saw that one class improvement from exceptional drought to extreme drought, and then into parts of southeastern Nebraska as well. We saw one class of improvement across again, parts of Lancaster, Gage, Odo, Pawnee, Nemaha, Richardson counties. And again, some areas now, again, in far southeastern Nebraska, no longer under those drought conditions. So then that is good news. Again, things have been trending in the right direction for us over the last several weeks and months, and hopefully will continue to do so. If we look at the United States as a whole, I'm going to take off our QR code here so we can see California. Again, this is the 1 week change in the drought monitor. And again, the good news is we see continued improvement across many small spots across the country, but particularly across parts of California. Again, they have just been absolutely hammered over the last several weeks with a series of storms bringing a lot of water to California, to the point now where some of the reservoirs are over capacity, and they still have a very healthy snowpack in the mountains in California. So that is good news. Again, we hear a lot about all the drought in California. Sometimes we don't hear about how the drought has improved in California. So that is good news. Have seen some expansion in drought in parts of Texas and into the southeast, across parts of Florida. But overall, I think mostly good news. for drought conditions across the state and across the country. I thought we'd take a look at this. Is kind of a slider comparison. So from the beginning of the year to our latest drought monitor. So this is our latest drought monitor. If you go back to the beginning of the year, look at all the drought conditions across California and across really the western third of the country. And our latest drought monitor, again, over the last several weeks, there's been a dramatic reduction in drought in those areas. Extreme and exceptional drought almost completely gone across parts of Oregon and California. So again, that series of storms in those areas has led to dramatic improvement in drought conditions in those areas, as well as, again, some improvement across Nebraska. Not quite as much as those areas, but at least we are trending in the right direction. So again, the middle part of the country is still dealing with the drought. Again, we've seen some small improvements here in Nebraska, and we're going to hope to continue to see improvements as we head over the course of the next few weeks. But how much moisture do we actually need? So this is a cool tool. It's from the National Centers for Environmental Information. So again, if we're looking at to end drought, so end drought in 3 months. This is how much precipitation that we need. And this is broken down into climatological zones across the state. So again, there's several zones across the state. So if you go to the far southeast zone, this is Division 9. Precipitation needed is about, it's really hard to see, numbers pretty small, but you need about 10 and a third inches of precipitation. So again, this is going to be areas like Beatrice, Fairbury, Hebron, Steiner, Nebraska City, Falls City. This zone right here needs just a little over 10 inches of precipitation over the next 3 months to see an end to drought conditions. And again, as we head into the spring season, about 10 inches is probably about what we would normally see during that time frame. So if we can cross our fingers and maybe get a fairly normal spring in terms of precipitation, we could see those drought conditions come to an end. For Lincoln, east central parts of the state, Omaha, Columbus, we're looking at just shy of 11 inches needed to end the drought conditions over the course of the next 3 months. In northeastern Nebraska, it's about 9 3/4 inches of precipitation. Again, it's this area here in northeastern Nebraska that really still continues to have some of the most severe drought conditions. In north central parts of the state, so we're talking O'Neill, Ainsworth, Valentine, Broken Bow, Thedford. Again, these areas have gotten quite a bit of moisture over the last several weeks and months, quite a bit of snow over the last several months as well. They need less. They need just under 7 inches of precipitation to see those drought conditions come to an end. In central parts of the state, just over 10 inches needed. In south central Nebraska, just over 8.5 inches needed. Southwestern Nebraska, just under 8 inches needed. And across the panhandle, just over 6 inches of precipitation needed to end those drought conditions. So again, these numbers aren't too far off from what we would normally see during meteorological spring. So again, we've seen conditions improve. We'd like to see the drought really come to an end. I can pull up, in fact, even our time series. I think we've likely seen our drought conditions probably peak here in Nebraska. This is a look at a time series of drought conditions over time. So again, this goes all the way back to 2000 when the drought monitor started. So, but if you go here again, our most recent drought monitor is right here, but you can see probably that peak was last fall when we had those extreme drought conditions up around 60% of the state, and that's fallen 20% in the last several weeks and last several months. So we're going to hope to continue to see this downward trend in drought conditions as we head through the spring season. And again, I think if we get a fairly normal spring precipitation, and again, if it kind of falls normally over the course of the 3 months and not necessarily all at once, that we definitely could see continued reduction in drought conditions. So that's a look at our drought monitor for this Thursday. I'm sure meteorologist Brandon Rector and Chief Meteorologist Ken Shimmick will have another look at that drought monitor coming up tonight on 10, 11 now at 4, 5, 6, and 10. But just wanted to bring you that update. And that'll probably do it for me for now. But again, keep it tuned to the 1011 Now streaming studio for all the latest news, weather, and sports. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, there's this awesome little QR code right here that you can scan. It'll take you right to there, and you can smash that subscribe button and make sure you turn on those notifications so you're notified when we go live. Again, streamed a press conference earlier today talking about some fake swatting calls for school shootings. It's been a problem locally here in the state and nationally over the last several weeks. And again, brought you this drought monitor update, and we'll continue to bring you more updates on the streaming studio through the rest of the day and through the course of most days. So thanks everyone for tuning in. That's all I have for today. Hope you have a good Thursday.